Kakadosh Boker Tov. We're continuing with Halachot of Pesach. Siman Tafayin Gimel. We're talking about the first cup and the Seder Pesach until the second cup. Maram brings down that we're going to pour the first cup of the wine, umikadesh alav. So first of all, we have to have a reminder that first of all, this is going to be the cup of Kiddush, and also besides the cup of Kiddush, it's also going to be the first cup of the Arba Kosot. So therefore, what happens is we start with the first cup, and what happens is that we're going to rinse out the cup beforehand. This is actually brought down to do with shtifa v'adacha. If you remember, we did bring down a whole machloket. Do all the cups need that, or do not all the cups need that? But what we do is we rinse out the cup, we come and we pour the first cup of wine, and we do the kiddush, and we make shechianu. Now, obviously, if Shabbat is going to be the yaknehaz, which is not this year. Now, if a person, he comes now after doing this shechianu that a person has, and he's having in mind, right, the entire concept, whether it's going to be the chag or eating of the matzah. So now what happens is that when he's going to do this, he comes afterwards and he sits down after making the bracha and after completing the kiddush, and he's going to be shoteh beseba. Remember that if a person does not drink beseba, according to Shita Maran, all 4 cups, if he did not drink beseba, he would have to repeat them again. He would have to come and drink again beseba with inclining to the left. So have that in mind. Now what happens is you don't make a bracha afterwards. Siv Gimel says, if you want to drink a whole bunch of different cups, you're allowed to. However, though, you should be very careful not to drink, right, in order not to get, whether it's going to be drunk or not to drink between the first and second cup, right, unless it's going to be litzorech gadol. So a person should try to obviously not come and start drinking in between, right? Again, they speak about water, things like that, for sure not wine in between the first and second cup. They're going to now bring, says Siv Daled, in front of the balabait, the kiara. In the kera, you're going to have 3 matzot, the maror, the charose, the karpas, or any other type of vegetable, right? And then it comes and it says, and they bring also whether it's going to be the salt water or the vinegar. Now you have to bring 2 different tavshilim. One is zechel Pesach, and one is zechel chagiga. You have the korban Pesach, and you have korban chagiga. It's a Yom Tov. Yom Tov, you have a korban chagiga. So therefore, what do? You bring for the korban Pesach basar, and that basar, usually the minhag was to bring the zroa. So you're going to bring the zroa of the animal, and that should be roasted, right? Now what happens is that was the minhag of doing it roasted. The beitzah, the egg, which is going to be zechel, korban chagiga, should be cooked. It's not going to be roasted, because the korban chagiga did not need to be roasted, but rather it's going to be cooked, right? And that's the minhag. Now to do with the different concepts of the vegetables that you're using, he says these are the vegetables that you're going to come and you're going to be yotzei yechovah. And then he comes and he brings down different vegetables that they have. Obviously, they have the different minhagim, right, of this. But here it's very interesting that a person has to be very, very careful, right, that a person cannot use kavush. He cannot use anything which is pickled or that was cooked. Okay, so therefore a person has to be careful that when they're going to come and they're going to be yotzei chovah, the halacha of mitzvah maror, so therefore the first one is always going to be chazeret. So therefore you come and you use the lettuce, right? Afterwards will come the ulshin and the timcha and all the other things which will come. So for example, if somebody wanted to use endives, they can use it, but endives is actually not going to be the first one on the list. The first one on the list is maror, which is what? Which is the lettuce. Maran already brings down the question that how could it be that we're using lettuce if lettuce is not really bitter? And there he actually answers it, and it's brought down, right, the entire concept that in the beginning, when they're actually planted and everything, they are bitter, and then afterwards it's not bitter. So therefore, even though nowadays we're having the lettuce and it's not going to be bitter, that is the maror that we are actually fulfilling our mitzvah, and there's no problem whatsoever. There's also Rosh Zamin Orbach that he wanted to actually bring the proof from Rashi, that Rashi had to say that at the beginning, if you would have left it, it would have become bitter, but it's not that right now it is. So therefore, there's no problem whatsoever of using this type of vegetables, of, for example, lettuce, but you have to just be careful that there's not going to be bugs. So how do you make sure that there's not going to be bugs? You have nowadays the bug checker, which is basically this light, which makes it actually transparent, or you could put it towards the light, right? If you're going to put it towards any fluorescent light, you'll be able to come, and it makes it more see-through, that you're able to come and you're able to make sure that there's not going to be any bugs. The last halakha that we'll mention is that we do netilat yadayim for the tibul rishon, but we do not make the beracha of netilat yadayim, right? And then we make the beracha of borei pri adama, and we eat. So first of all, to do with the netilat yadayim, this is the netilat yadayim which is needed for anything which is the yad shachadam, any type of vegetable that you're going to come and you're going to put it in water, any other type of water, a liquid, you would have to do netilat yadayim. So we do netilat yadayim without a beracha, and this is the reason why the children are going to be asking. So they come and they ask, what are we doing here? What are we always doing Netilat Yadayim? We're not allowed to talk, but then we're still eating now all of a sudden a vegetable. What's going on exactly? So to do with the karpas, which we're going to come and do Netilat Yadayim, we do the Netilat Yadayim, we do not make a bracha on the Netilat Yadayim, we take a karpas and we eat less than a kazait. Because if you eat more than a kazait of the karpas, which is 28 grams, what happens is then afterwards we get into a problem of safek in the bracha charona. So now we have to eat less than a kazait, and we're going to put it in, let's say, the vinegar or the salt water, and we make the bracha b'rei pri adama. If you remember, we did bring down, there was a concept brought down that Rav Ovadia says that one person, the balabait, should make the bracha for everybody. Instead of every single person coming and making the bracha one by one person would come and he would make the bracha b'rei pri adama for everybody, but they would have in mind this b'rei pri adama for the maror that they're going to come and eat later on afterwards as well. So therefore it's important to have that in mind, that when you make the b'rei pri adama on the karpas, which is, we use the celery, so therefore they have in mind the maror later on, and then they're going to eat it. If you remember, we did bring down, there was a machloket, do you need to do a seba on karpas or not? So that's what we said, that in the name of Bentil, what you do is you eat a little bit with a seba and a little bit without a seba. And by doing that, you're not going to get into any other problems, and then you do not make the bracha afterwards, and we'll continue Bezrat Hashem with the continuation of the Seder.